as you come in, guys, go ahead and share the thing. This is a ride along special programming right now, and this is reaction. A lot of you guys got an opportunity to watch the entire Prime Minister address. We're going to give you guys a little time to come in and share the program. Tonight on the program, as you can see there, we have Ashida Charles, Joel Greenwich, and you. You're going to be a part of this conversation as well, and it's going to be a good conversation. This is reaction right along live. Again, guys, everybody, as you come in, go ahead and share the thing. You see the panelists they're all ready. Ashida's ready, Joel ready, and they have a lot to talk about because they just saw what we all just watched. Over 9,000 people tuned in to watch this prime time address by the Prime Minister. And we want to get your reactions on it, guys. Share the program right now. Share the program right now. We're going to take a minute or two to ensure that everybody come in and everybody go ahead and share up the program. Let me do that as well on my end. Let me do it on my end as well. Hey, Keisha, how you doing? Patrice, I see you. I see you. I see you. Everybody that come in, as soon as you say hi, I want you, even before you say hi, I want you to share the program. And also I want you guys to record the number as well, because I want you guys to call in because we want you a part of this conversation. Let me share over on my page, start a watch party on my page. And I'm eager to hear what Ashida and Joel have to say about the Prime Minister address. I'm sure that you guys are eager to find out as well. Let me share over here, start a watch party over here. You're getting ready. We're getting ready. All right, watch party. Okay, Shad, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you, Junior?
I'm good. I could see.
Hi, Joel. Good night.
I could almost read your mind. I could almost read your mind. I kind of see what's on all your mind already. I'm that good. I'm that good. Let's break it down. Shida, so you got a chance to watch the Prime Minister address, prime time address. It was hyped up. A lot of people were expecting different things. From your point of view, Shida, summarize it for us. What did you hear tonight? First of all, what were you expecting to hear tonight?
Okay, Junior. So here's this, right? I was very excited to hear from the Prime Minister. Matter of fact, I'm always, because I use what he says as ammunition to make my points and to share my perspectives.
Right.
Even if I am not a fan of him, he is the Prime Minister, and so one should always expect that what he has to say will be laced with substance.
Right.
So I was just wrapping up with MTV News, right? And keep checking the time because I'm like, I do not want to miss a minute or a second. I took a shower, brushed my teeth, and sat down and just check the time proper.
Right.
And then midway through the speech, I got up and brushed my teeth again because I was so angry. I was so bitter with the words that were coming from the Prime Minister's mouth. I said, you know what? Let me brush my teeth to take away any kind of bitterness that might be on my tongue, because I had to do this with you. That being said, what I got from our Prime Minister was a very condescending message where he tried to more or less demonstrate his authoritative disposition. It's just as sometimes, Junior, you know that. You're in media for donkey years. It's not what you say, but how you say it. And the Prime Minister came across as though not only was he raining discipline on his children, but he was saying, hey, I am the boss. And he mentioned as leader of this country. I couldn't see the significance of such statements. We all know you are the Prime Minister. I got a very condescending message from a Prime Minister who came across as an individual who has no regard for the people who are struggling in our country. So there was no message of hope. At a time, I commented and I asked him, hey, take your time because I'm taking some notes. Junior, he bashed the teachers for standing up. Remember, the teachers and the public servants who joined them, they have a democratic right as upheld by the Constitution to protest. And they're not protesting senselessly. There was a legal agreement. He mentioned that the Grenlec, the whole WRB Grenlec situation had to be honored by law. And you have the teachers and the public servants 4% situation that also has to be honored by law. So someone has to explain to me what I am missing. And I'll stop here for now, Junior, to allow Joel to speak.
Right. Joel.
Yeah, how are you doing, Junior? First of all, good night to Leader. Good night to you,
Good night,
Junior, and good night to your online viewing audience. You know, I have not really got a headache in a very long time, honestly, and I actually literally got a headache while listening to the Prime Minister. It was a very confusing national address, I would say. The Prime Minister was literally all over the place in his deliberation. But what I could say that really shocked me the most is the fact that the teachers and the Grenadian people are being used as a scapegoat in this whole situation that our country is faced with, especially the economic reality. The government said that they had significant decline in revenue, $96.6 million shortfall in revenue last year. And I mean, when I heard the shortfall in revenue, but at the same time, the government was able to find almost close to $200 million at a time when you had a huge shortfall in revenue. That to me is pure madness. Let's put it that way.
What about the justification? Not to cut you, but stick a pin right there. What about the Prime Minister's justification in saying that, well, this was more necessary than this? Did you get that?
I mean, the thing about it, Junior, you telling me that at a time when many of our Grenadian people lost their jobs, many small businesses was impacted, many people were unable to put food on the table. You telling me what was important to the government was to honor an almost $200 million debt, right, in the midst of a crisis? That to me don't make any sense, because the fact that we are in a crisis and many countries will actually sort of giving you, kind of pushing, wavering the debt for a bit. You understand? I think if the government had entered some sort of renegotiation with WRB, I'm certain that they could have got an extension in terms of the time to actually pay the debt. Remember, it was not normal times, right? Many countries were being impacted. And I felt if the government claimed to have very good negotiators, what they would have done was to go back to the negotiation table and present the new situation, right? And put the facts on the table. We have a huge decline of $96.6 million in revenue. We have this health crisis to grapple with. Thousands of our people lost our job. The major sectors of the economy, being tourism and SGU, are all impacted, and most of you can say the general aspect of the economy is hinged to tourism and SGU, the farmers, the fisher folks, all these different sectors. So I felt that aspect of the Prime Minister's presentation was not really adding up. And to add to what Adisha said, Nivea said, at the same time, you honored a legal agreement with WRB. But the situation with the teachers is also a legal agreement. And matter of fact, it affects your people, your citizen, as the leader, right? So if I was faced with that situation, having to pay WRB and having to pay the public servants, I would have actually opted to pay the public servants, because that money is going to trickle back down into the communities, right? It will spur economic activities, and it would have helped to save some jobs. it would have really helped to save some jobs. So, it really was an opportunity for the Prime Minister to continue to bash the Grenadian people, the same Grenadian people that would have contributed to Grenada COVID-19 response being a success. You
Right.
understand? And there was no way in his presentation where he applauded the Grenadian people on a whole, because we all were in this fight together. You
Yeah.
understand? So it was just really an unfortunate
Ashada,
position.
point well taken there, Joel. Ashada, what's your thoughts on how the government prioritized WRB negotiation, WRB buying over shares from Grenlec and the teachers 4%? What's your take on the prioritization of the WRB situation over the teachers? You have to unmute. Sorry.
For the first time, because he did ask, he said something to the effect like, were you aware of the consequences had we, meaning the government, not honor the WRB settlement arrangement, right? He asked that question. So for the first time, it was revealed that if the government of Grenada did not honor that legal obligation, then the consequences of blocking any sort of revenue or funding or loans or so, that would have occurred for Grenada, which of course would put our economy in a very serious situation negatively, right? So when he mentioned that, I pondered on it for a little bit, because it makes some sense, right?
Right.
But at the same time, had the fact that you had 200 million, I am sure you can find 13 million, which is 13.2 to be precise, which is what it will cost to honor the legal obligation with the teachers and the public servants. You see, and to say, I understand the 96.6 drop in economic revenue and so on, but the government has the money. Right? It's just that I think because the teachers and the public servants are out there demanding, right? This government is not really a government that listens to the people. It's
Right.
what we have is a government that I think from time to time shows us that they're in charge. They call all the shots, whether they're in the right or wrong. You see, so like he said, he will pay. He said they deserve their 4%. But of course, he'll pay on his own time. So
Well,
for
if they
me,
have
the
the money,
priorities.
if they have the money, Ashida, why aren't they paying it? Why are they not just paying the
Like
money?
I said, the government, that's my view. The government will not pay it because the teachers are demanding payment. No, the government has the money there. What about the transformational fund? Which accumulates all the money the government gets from the sales of passports to foreign diplomats and and affluent foreigners, right? No one can say to me, oh, it's dried up. I don't think so. I think the money is there, but the priority was really to secure WRB for whatever reason. We may never know the real reason until maybe close to an election, when that deal or that settlement will have some sort of bearing on how things will transpire, right,
Mm-hmm.
during an election year. But I am confident that the government has the money, but the government will not pay until the teachers and other public servants listen and obey the Prime Minister. Listen and obey in terms of, hey, I will pay you in December, as the Minister of Education said, or I will pay you whenever I feel like it. I am not going to pay you now because that's what you want. And that's my view on it.
Yeah, Joel, you want to add anything to that?
Well, in relation to the payment for teachers and public servants, I think what could have been different in this whole situation is the government approach. I mean, many people, well, not many, a few people will criticize the teachers, stating that the time that we are currently living in, I mean, teachers are still being paid, and there are many Grenadians who are unemployed at this time due to the government measures to combat the COVID-19 pandemic. And while people may make such an argument and will consider the teachers to be inconsiderate and not really looking at the big picture, I think the government approach was wrong, right? I think the government would approach it with a sort of iron fist, and I think hence the reason the teachers decided, okay, we are also going to stand our ground. And people are not looking at it from that angle. The teachers understand the situation we're faced with. But I think if the government was more transparent and the government came to the table and said, listen, this is the situation. How can we actually meet at the middle ground? I don't think that was the approach by the government. And you hear the prime minister and you listen to many of the talk shows where supporters of the NMP party is calling and attacking the teachers. They are made to do that in most cases. You understand? So we have to look at it. The teacher, there was a signed agreement. It's a legal agreement. And I believe if any, same way the government had a legal obligation to pay WRB and they made the commitment to do it, it's the same approach. What they could have approached WRB and said, well, listen, this is a situation. Can you give us some more time? Can you give us an extension? Can you give us until the end of December? They didn't approach it that way.
What if that, and I'm playing devil's advocate in this particular argument, what if that wasn't the case? What if they could not have approached WRB with a negotiation to prolong the payment? What if it was at the point, again, devil's advocate, where the failure to pay that monies would have resulted in the seizure of assets from the government, wherever they are, and possibly the seizure of whatever funds coming in, and possibility of closing down of the airport, as the prime minister said, and all these things? What if it was the way that is constructed? Would it then be a priority over the 4%? Do you think?
Okay. So let's, for example, Junior, it was not a transparent deal that went down with the government and WRB. So the details surrounding that is basically still sketchy. People are still forming their own opinions. Matter of fact, we don't even know where the money came from to pay WRB, because when the government presented the budget, there was no way in the budget where the government made an allocation specific for the repurchasing of the shares from WRB, right? So it's kind of difficult to say, right? Because if the government knew in advance that they had to make that payment by the deadline in December, I think in the budget presentation, those things would have actually been mentioned. And nowhere in the budget presentation by the Minister of Finance, when he presented the budget, that any pronouncement was made about the repurchasing of the shares from WRB. So if it was a priority, then the government would have stated the priority and state the urgency and why they must find the money to pay the WRB, because therefore there would have been public buying. The public would have bought into it. We would, at the end of the day, we would not have been left to question it, because we would have understand the importance of this government decision to purchase WRB and why we must make the sacrifice, because in the long run we would see a reduction in the cost of electricity. We will see the liberation of the energy sector, and there will be greater opportunities in that sector. So, but as I said, the main problem, I believe, is how the government approaching, the lack of transparency and the lack of that sense of open communication with the Grenadian people.
Ashada, you want to add anything to that argument? Because I want to move on to later about the vaccine and the approach. So anything else you want to add to that part of the discussion, Shida? Unmute.
Junior, I agree with the points that Joel made. I think I share the same sentiments on that particular question.
Okay. It seemed in some part in the presentation by the Prime Minister today to somehow try to mandate, I don't know if mandate is the word, to the teachers that they shouldn't be protesting and they shouldn't be going out and I mean, what is their constitutional right to do, because it is in fact a pandemic, and there's regulation that they would have broke or are breaking in terms of what the regulation says. They're gathering in places in groups and all that other stuff. Do you think that he went too far in trying to point a finger at the teachers and try to tell them, okay, you shouldn't do this, when in turn is their constitutional right and they're doing it for a purpose, and the purpose is not getting their money? What do you think about that part of the presentation?
That's for me, Junior or Joel?
Anyone could
Oh,
jump in.
okay. I think well, based on what his objective is, I don't think he went too far. Because he's obviously now trying to make a case that teachers are not obeying or adhering to the COVID protocol rules, and so that the government would have put in place. At the same time, showing, the message is really to show people that these teachers are disobedient and they do not care about their health and safety, or even the health of others. And so, for me, like I said, it came across with no regard for what the teachers are experiencing. You see, and if the only way to say, hey, we do not accept your your failure of paying us the 4%. We do not accept that we even have to go through protests because it's a legal obligation. So if the only way for them to, if this is the only way for their statement or for their voices to be heard is through protest, I can't see why we are knocking them for it. And at the same time, the government showed its true colors by finding $200 million to repurchase the shares in Grand Lake. It doesn't make sense. You see, and so for them, and I'm not trying to put myself in a teacher's shoes, but I'm just using common sense. It's just basic common sense. If the government is cash strapped, like, they're really tight on money, there's no money, there's a reduction in economic activity, and so the revenue the government would have collected then, which is before COVID, they're not seeing that flow of revenue now. Then there should be no heavy spending altogether. But what we are seeing is a pick and choose approach to things, and that to me is where the concern is really.
Yeah, Joel, you want to add anything to that argument?
Yeah. First of all, in terms of the situation with the teachers, right? I mean, I think we use the whole COVID regulations and all of these things very conveniently, because a few months ago, even when we had many more cases, the government, or I would not the government, but I would say the NMP party, they were traveling across the countries, holding meetings in schools and different facilities, and they had hundreds of people there. And at the time we had cases, you understand? So I think coming out thereafter, even the Minister of Education coming out after in her national address and really making out the teachers to look like they're irresponsible, and they don't really care about themselves, or they don't care about our country, or they don't really care about bringing an end to this COVID situation in our country. I think it was very unfair. It was basically to put the citizens against the teachers, and I think that sort of divide and conquer techniques is a serious problem. I think the teacher has a fundamental right as citizens of the country to protest, and they're not protesting for anything that they don't deserve. They're protesting for a contract or legal binding contract that was signed and sealed and agreed by the government and the unions, the GUT. So I just think it's an unfair position, and the fact that the teacher had to get a scolding from the prime minister, and the fact that the prime minister continues to turn the citizens against the teacher and to see the teachers in a bad light, especially the fact that the teachers are the brain power of our nation, and the contributions of teachers over the years to the development of our country cannot be taken for granted. You understand? And how we do expect the teachers to go back to the teaching in the classrooms and be inspired and motivated to teach our children. So it's a really unfortunate position that we are in right now, and I do hope that some sort of middle ground can be formed for the benefits of our nation children.
Yeah, guys, I want you guys to be a part of this discussion, because I'm seeing through the grapevines, I'm seeing posts like, okay, let's get another side of the argument. So this is where you guys come in, right? Because I know that Joel and Ashida are not the only ones that watch the program, and the Prime Minister's speech, and myself. You guys watch it as well. So I want to get what your take is on this issue right here. So I'm opening up the phone lines. The phone number is on the screen, 718-701-5720. And if one of our moderators could just pin the number so people could call in. I want to hear what you have to say. Don't just sit there and say, okay, well, we need some other objective perspective on this thing here. You are the objective perspective. We want everybody to chime in on this. So we open up the phone line right now. 718-701-5720. Let me know what's on your mind, what your thoughts of the Prime Minister's announcement, what you thought was good, what you thought was bad, what you like, what you didn't like. This is your opportunity to shine. 718-701-5720. I'm going to wait for your call. In the meantime, Joel, 24%. Break that down for me. How much does that equate to? Did you do the math? Like how much equate to per teacher?
But it all depends on where the teacher are in terms of
on average. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, some cases $50, some cases 60, 70, 80. It all depends based on the years, based on whether they have a degree or not. So 4% of the income for some teachers will work out to be $50. In some cases 60, some cases 70, 80. Yeah, so that sort of range.
Right. So it's not like a chunk of money. Not like
I mean, the government said, I think the government said it would cost them like $30 million in their recurrent expenditure every month if they are to pay that money right now.
Right. Okay, all right. So you see, we open up the phone lines, and up to now nobody to call. But you hear what they're saying in the chat room. Oh, we have bias on. We have this side and we have that side. We want everybody's side. So guys, call in and let us talk. Let us conversate. We want your point of view on this matter right here. We're going to slowly go into the next topic, which is the vaccine and the virus. Ashida, did the Prime Minister, in your point of view, sold the idea of obtaining the vaccine to you? Do you think? Okay, hold on. Before I ask that question, let's take this call. Okay, caller, where are you calling us from?
Hi, Junior. I'm calling from Queens, New York.
Queens, New York. Go right ahead, caller. What's your takeaway from the Prime Minister's speech?
Okay, I saw many comments, everybody talking about what the Prime Minister is doing and what not is doing. Junior, I personally believe, look at the Imani, right?
Right.
Imagine you getting $1,000 a month.
Right.
A bus, if you go to St. George's, nearly $200 a month, right? You got to buy food, everything else raising, taxes going up.
Yeah, hold on. Go ahead, caller. Go right ahead, caller.
Yes, Junior, taxes is going up. Everything else is going up, and all everybody's talking about.
Go ahead, caller. Okay, all right. Caller got cut off. Let's take this other call here. Caller, you feel free to call back. Let's take this caller on the WhatsApp. Caller on the WhatsApp, go right ahead.
Right. Right. And with what it said there, essentially, at least based off of how it sounds, is like is mandating healthcare workers and people working in the tourism sector to take the vaccine.
Right.
And just going off of his own words and the words of the Minister of Health, they essentially stated that the vaccine doesn't stop you from catching COVID, it doesn't stop you from transmitting COVID, and it doesn't cure you from COVID, right? So what's the point of mandating the vaccine? Because all it does is potentially stop you from, being killed from it, right? It leading to any serious side effects, or it affects itself, or killing.
Right.
So how can you come and try and mandate something like that and claim that it's to help? Well, he didn't say this in this speech, but in ones prior to that, he essentially said, if you take it, you're helping your family members, you're keeping them safe. But that's untrue. That's just factually untrue. So just based off of that fact, I don't see how they could rightfully mandate these things to anybody in any sector. So that's my issue. That's my main issue with what he said there.
Okay, caller. Thank you so much. We appreciate your point of view, right? Guys, the question is, and this is not only happening in a bubble in Grenada, right? This is happening all over the world. I'm in New York, and I'll make it very clear right now. I took the vaccine, right? And I also had COVID, and I took the vaccine. I went through a lot of process and asked a lot of questions to health providers that brought me to the conclusion that I should take the vaccine. Do you think that the health authorities in Grenada is doing enough to educate people on why they should take the vaccine? Uh, Anyone could jump on this one, Ashida or Joel. Did it sell the reason why the vaccine is necessary, or or someone should take the vaccine in Grenada?
Well, in relation to the vaccine,
Um, I'm not hearing Ashida. I'm not hearing
well, the
Joel.
government,
Ashida, unmute
you don't
yourself.
hear me?
Yeah, but I'm hearing him.
Okay, I'm not. I don't know if it's on my end. Um, I don't know if it's. Hold on one second, guys. Hold on one second. Let me fix something on my end. Check. Um, Joel, I'm not hearing you. Joel, can you hear
Are you
me?
hearing me now? Are you hearing me?
All right, for some reason, I'm not hearing Joel. I'm not hearing Shida. All right, guys, let's just take a quick break and we'll come right back. You're watching Ride Along live special programming on the Prime Minister's primetime address. We'll be right back. Don't move.
Are you fed up of your mask or your foggy face shield? Introducing the Fashion Shield from callallpronow.com. Keep your hairdo intact, your makeup flawless, and be fully protected. Get the Fashion Shield now. Call 516-387-4246 or visit callallpronow.com.
All right, guys, we're back. Shada, could you guys hear me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
Yes.
I don't know why I'm not hearing nobody. I'm not sure why I'm not hearing anybody. But I'm not. If you guys could do me a quick favor, right? Just jump out and jump right back in on the same link. That might fix it on my end. Guys, you're watching Ride Along live, and we open up the phone lines. We want to get your point of view. Ashada and Joel, yeah, just jump out and jump back in. It might fix it on my end. Yeah, Joel, just jump out and jump back in. So I'll see if it'll fix it on my end. Again, guys, you're watching Ride Along live. This is special programming. We have Joel and Ashida. We're speaking on the Prime Minister's address to the nation, national address. Let me see if I could pull back in Ashida. Ashida, you there? Ashida, you there?
Yes.
Hold on,
Wow.
Junior.
Okay, guys. Let me refresh on my end. Stay there. Don't go nowhere.
Are you here?
Let me refresh on my.
I'm hearing you, Joel, but
Yeah.
Junior is not hearing us.
All right, are you guys back? You guys hearing me again?
I'm hearing you.
Okay, good.
Yes, I'm hearing you.
Good. I'm hearing you guys now. Just crazy what happened on my end here. Right. On the question of the vaccine, is Grenadians sold? Are they making a good enough case why people should take the vaccine? What you guys think?
From my perspective, I don't think that a great enough effort or enough sensitization is being done by the government. I just feel like they're just putting it to the Grenadian people that they have to take the vaccine. It's more of a sort of demand instead of really having the conversation, educating our people, presenting them with information, and helping them to make an informed decision as to the importance of taking a vaccine. And the gentleman who just spoke a while ago, he made a very valid point. When asked, does the vaccine prevent you from catching COVID? You were told no. Does it prevent you from spreading it? You were told no. So I think a lot of people are saying, okay, if it does not prevent me from catching the COVID, if it does not prevent me from spreading it, what is the reason for me taking it, when most of the cases that we have actually diagnosed in our country were basically asymptomatic persons? They had to be tested to show that they had COVID. Outside of them being tested, most of them would not have known they had COVID. So this is the reality that we are facing right now. And I think the constant fear that has been instilled in our people by the government is just sort of eroding confidence in our people from really making that informed decision to take the vaccine.
Right. Shida, what's your take on it?
I think the Prime Minister made a good sales speech tonight when it comes to the nation being vaccinated. And I say that simply because of his reasoning as to why. Many people, he said that, if we all take the vaccine, or at least 70-80% of us, then that will open the pathways to economic recovery and a sense of normalcy, which many Grenadians want, which many people around the world want. And so because many Grenadians want that, I think that's a good push to get people, whether it is by force or not, that will encourage people to get to be vaccinated or to get the vaccine as soon as possible. Some people have their reservations. I do, though I think I'll take it. But some people have reservations because they are not well informed. They're not well informed as to why they should take it, and they have concerns also as to the side effects, because there are lots of conspiracy theories out there, and those are what we see in our faces every day, not
Right.
so much so the correct information, for want of a better word there, right, from the medical professionals and the vaccine experts. I think if social media and mainstream media are flooded with expert opinion, or facts for that matter, then more people will develop that eagerness to take it. But as it stands now, people are hesitant about taking the vaccine because of the concerns they have, and all of that is from a premise where people are not knowledgeable enough.
Right.
So that's my take on it.
So what you're saying, the information as to not taking the vaccine is much louder than the education as to why you should take the vaccine, and
Correct.
that is breaking through. And
Right.
they have done a lot around the world, because not only Grenadians are hesitant about taking the vaccine. If you look at some of the other countries like the Bahamas is like they don't want the vaccine at all because of historical things that happen in Bahamas and other places as well. But I do think that a lot has to be done in promoting, as you said, promoting education on the vaccine. And I also would agree with you. I think that the Prime Minister did make a good push in terms of a good sales pitch, in terms of letting people know at least why they should take the vaccine. That might be the only pathway to get back to some form of normalcy. And people always talk about the side effects and all of that stuff. And I've seen side effects. I've seen some people took the vaccine, like myself. I took my second dose and I have no side effects. So it's not everybody that might have side effect. But the worst side effect you could have is if you catch COVID and dead. And I guess that might be the biggest sales pitch. So that's why I took it, because I saw the need for it, and I educated myself on the risk factor versus the not taking it, and that's why I took it. So more information need to be put in there. What more you think could have been put into the speech from a general perspective, from a general outlook of it? What more could have been put into the speech besides the fact that the Prime Minister wasn't basically getting people, giving the hope? It was more like a point your finger kind of angry grandfather or father or family member kind of approach. What do you think could be packed more into the? What do you think that was missed in the speech? Anyone could take that one.
Yeah, but basically, as stated it earlier, I think it must be from an inspirational standpoint, because since the start of the COVID, most of the speeches that the Prime Minister gave was never really from a friendly, composed, calm sort of point of view. It was more aggressive. It was more forceful. And people, when you come at people in a particular way, they will always demonstrate a level of resistance. And I think the fact that many people are not taking the vaccine is not necessarily that they don't want to take it, but basically is like a resistance towards the Prime Minister and the government, right? So I think that tends to be a major factor, because you see, it's about trying to get to certain numbers to impress the international community. It's not a matter of let us get to a place where we can vaccinate our population so that we can get back to a place of normalcy, and so we can rebuild our economy and get people back to work so that it's more Grenada looking good in the international community, and Grenada is being celebrated, and it's basically to tap the government on the shoulder. But on a national level, it's not about our people, right? It's not about our people. It's about making the government look good. So look, for example, you do the comparison with countries in the OECS and how much persons they have vaccinated. So it's like more of a competitive sort of thing, right? And people are basically resistant in that regards. So I think the approach by the government must be different. And I believe once the government approach is different, and it's more of a togetherness, and it's more, and even in terms of the communication, it's like, you have to take this vaccine because or you else you will see what happens. You know,
Right.
it should not be that approach.
Right. I've heard talks to the grapevine that, and not only in Grenada, in other countries, that they would soon have some type of vaccine to travel type of operation, where if you don't have vaccines, then it will be almost difficult or impossible to get on a flight. If this is mandated in Grenada, how do you think that the public would react to something like that? Prime Minister, I can alert to it a little bit, but I've been hearing about it all over, even in England and other places. How do you think Grenadians would take that message of mandating the vaccine?
Well, basically, I don't think in any way that from a national standpoint that the government can make vaccine mandatory, because I see mandatory vaccination as infringing on the rights of people. There are people who have religious belief, and based on their belief, they're not going to allow um, any vaccines into their systems. You have even see the situation with children who attend school and they have not been vaccinated because of the religious belief of their parent. And I think the Constitution gives you the right to freedom of religion, freedom of conscience, and I think that must be respected. I think taking a vaccine is left to people's personal choice as to what they want to allow into their bodies, and I think that is what we can try and help people to understand the importance of the vaccine, but it must not come across as something being mandated. Right. I think people have a personal responsibility for their own protection. While
Right.
I understand the government has a collective responsibility to ensure that the population is safe, people also have a personal responsibility as to what they allow into their bodies.
What about the people that
And
are
that
on
must
the
be
front
respected.
line? And Charlie, you could jump in here. What about people that are on the front line? Should there be some kind of push to really get them to mandate, especially people in the tourism sector and other those essential sectors? Should there be some more of a push to mandate that some of them do take the vaccine? Or do you think that they would take that message? Shida?
Because I am a strong believer in freedom and rights of all citizens, I cannot support a mandatory vaccine for all citizens. I think it has to boil down to one's subjective preference. And so frontline workers, they are the ones that are more exposed to any sort of illness, particularly as it relates to their interaction with who can, well, who is and is not affected with COVID, and also the workers at the airport, right? And so I think that it should not be made mandatory. Present people with the information, and I think, Junior, they will make the decisions. If we this is not something I think you can shove down people's throat. Equipped us with as much information as possible, and we can also equip ourselves, because we, like you said, you educated yourself on the whole vaccine processes and so on, and we have access. Many people have access to the internet, so the information is there, so we can also do our own research. And I think that will sort of make it easier. It will make the process easier. It will make accepting that if you do take the vaccine, good things can happen, particularly as it relates to opening up opening up the economy and giving us that kind of sense that, hey, we are now living in a normal country where we can do things as we used to before and even better. So I am not for a mandatory vaccine. I am for open it, leave the option open so that who wants it can take it, and those who do not, well, that's their choice.
I'm looking at a map here, right? Barbados, with a population of 287,000 people, 61,000 people are vaccinated there. In in Antigua, Barbuda, there's 25,000 people vaccinated there. St. Lucia, 20,000 people vaccinated there. I spoke about the problems in, well, Trinidad and Tobago is far less, and Grenada is about 10,000. What's going on in places like Barbados, St. Lucia, Antigua that's not happening in Grenada?
I think their whole experience during the COVID was quite different. And I think Grenadians are responding based on our own personal reality. Yes, I understand the people in the United States of America, England, their reality during this COVID was quite different compared to Grenada. St. Lucia reality was different. Barbados reality was different. They had community spread, people were dying. I mean, they had that experience. But in Grenada, our situation was quite different, right? Yes, we had almost 150 persons. I don't think we had any major run on our hospital. I don't think that we had so many people who, as I said, most of the people in Grenada who came down with COVID were basically asymptomatic. I have engaged quite a few of them. They were asymptomatic. So even for me as a citizen who saw persons who came down with COVID and saw that it was just like a normal it was just normal for them. They went through the normal procedure, and after this 14 or how much days they were back to normal life. So I mean, your experience, as I said, you lived in the US, Junior, you saw people dying left, right, and center. Your reality was different. You
Yeah, but
understand?
I
Compared
see
to the
people,
people.
I see people dying, but as you say, it's a globalized world. You in Grenada, you put on the internet and you see people dying too. You look and you
Yeah,
see the
but
same thing that I'm seeing.
I think people make decisions based on their own reality and based on their own
True.
experience. And
Right.
I think Grenada's situation was quite unique. I mean, I think, for example, chikungunya, in my opinion, had a greater impact on our healthcare system. I mean, if you mention chikungunya right now to anybody, I sure everybody running and get vaccinated for against chikungunya, and that's a fact.
Right. I want to play a little piece of the Prime Minister excerpt there earlier today. We only have about 10 more minutes left on this chat with Joel Greenidge and Ashaida Charles. And again, guys, the phone lines are wide open. We're going to take a little piece from the Prime Minister's primetime address earlier today. Check this out.
Side of the budget provides for expenditure on development projects, asset acquisition, or other such initiative that represents an investment and fosters serious development. The responsible fiscal management policies adopted and maintained by this government prevents us from using money allocated in the annual budget for capital expenditure on recurrent expenses. Failure to abide by this will jeopardize millions of dollars in additional funding that Grenada can receive from donor agencies and development partners.
I play this piece there to just look at the presentation, how the Prime Minister presented it, right? And Ashada made a point earlier today. Is it that his messaging pattern is just wrong? He sounds demanding and aggressive. Is that the right approach that he should have taken in a primetime address, especially in this time when he want to work with the teachers, hopefully want to get the teachers on his side, he want people to be on his side, and he want people to take the vaccine? Was he just too damn aggressive?
I think, yeah, Junior, I think you asked a question before I answered this, and you wanted to know what we thought was missing from the presentation. And for me, it's real. What was lacking was sympathy, empathy, and consideration for the real struggles people are going through. No fault so much so of the Prime Minister, because he didn't bring COVID, he didn't bring the pandemic, but because of the because of how our economy is structured, it is almost 70-80% tourism. So when COVID happened and the economy crashed, then lots of things crashed with it. And so I am yet to see a prime minister or a leader who understands that and who shows that he does. And so that's missing. And maybe the prime minister's disposition and just how he articulates his issues, I think he has that sort of aggressive way simply because Grenadians, particularly his 33,876,000 supporters, they like that. They have accepted it. I've seen some of the comments circulating right now. And, I think for me as a Grenadian living in Grenada, it's just so hard. It's hard to have a different point of view if you're not supporting the government. And I to the people who are really angry that I have a different perspective and I take a different position when it comes to the current government, I don't know what to tell you. You are sitting there. You may not be negatively affected by this whole pandemic. You may not be even affected by the way the government does things or by how the prime minister speaks to the nation. But it could never be right. It's something we should not accept. And we keep getting this aggressive tone from the prime minister. We keep getting this conduct. And the thing is, this behavior we just saw in the address is the same behavior he takes with him to Parliament to discuss the nation's business. It's not his personal business, but Grenadians, we've accepted it, so that makes it right. And if anyone has a different position, then hey, they will throw you to the dogs because you do not support or you do not accept the way in which the government handles the affairs of the country. And it bothers my mind to think that, and they know that we are in a democratic society. And so you can have one opinion, Junior, and Joel can have another. And it's okay for me to have a different one.
Yeah.
It's called exercising our rights. And we have different mindsets, right? Our thought processes are not the same. So when I look at this address, I cannot say within good conscience that I cannot even applaud it. And I cannot say within good conscience that this is the message the Grenadian people deserve to hear at this particular time in our lives. I can't see that.
Yeah. Joel, you want to add anything?
Yeah, basically, I want to join Ashida and really saying that, when I heard about the prime minister's address tonight, I was basically looking for a different tone and an entire different disposition. The fact is, at this time, a lot of people, the 9.6 thousand people that tune in tonight, people were really looking for some sort of hope. And I've looked at many speeches that happened during pandemic, whether it's during the Great Depression or during after World War One. If you look at the disposition of those leaders, it was one of inspiration. It was one of empathy. It was one of compassion. It was one of let me put my shoulder so you can lean on. It was that sort of approach. And for the last few months, we have not been getting that sort of emotional or that sense of empathy or that from our leader. You understand? And we were really looking forward to that tonight. And the fact is, we are supposed to be an intellectual democracy. And as Ashida says, when we speak out on issues, we are not speaking out because we don't like the prime minister. We are not speaking out because we don't like the ministers of government. I think in order for we to have a striving democracy, we must have opposing views. And we have a society here today when you speak out, you're attacked, you're criticized, people will fabricate all sort of stuff. They would try to, throw you under the bus. And how can you build a solid and healthy democracy in that manner? When we speak out, is because we want the prime minister to be better. We are challenging him to be better. We are trying him to govern better. And indirectly, all of our citizens will benefit. All of our citizens will benefit. And that is the ultimate beneficiary of having a healthy, striving, intellectual democracy is the citizens of the country. And that is the only how we can have good governance. Is that's the only how we can have all the issues that we are faced with currently addressed. So the fact is, there are a lot of people right now who are hurting. There are a lot of people who have lost their job, but because of blind political loyalty, they may sit on the live and try to attack myself and Ashida. But we have the confidence, we have the courage to stand up, to fight, and to speak for you, and to represent your voice, to say the things that deep within yourself you want to say, but you're afraid to say it because you're dependent on a minister of government. You're dependent on them from handouts. You understand? We are independent thinker and independent individual. We are not asking for handouts. We are asking for better leadership and better governance so that our citizens can benefit. So after listening to the Prime Minister's address tonight, to me, it was an empty address. There was no substance. And that's my clear position.
Right. We are that time, guys. Ashada, any closing statement as we get ready to wrap up?
Yes, Joel. I want to thank you, not Joel, sorry, Junior. I want to thank you so much for inviting me to join this reaction discussion with my good friend there, Joel. And I just want to wrap up by saying that the Prime Minister did mention the need for Grenadians to continue making sacrifices. I think that just as a nation, as a people, we have exhausted the enthusiasm or the zeal to continue making sacrifices when the Prime Minister and his government are yet to tell us what sacrifices they have made. I think it's unjust. I think it's unfair that we should continue. We, as the ordinary people, should continue to just making sacrifices, so that the nation can prosper. What has he done? What has his ministers of government done in terms of making sacrifices? And I'll end by saying, I know the government likes to be recognized by regional and international communities and bodies and groups and so on. But here's what I want to do. I want to recognize the people of Grenada, because the government of Grenada would not have had the success that it is now boasting of and being proud of had it not been for the cooperation of the people of Grenada. Many of us followed and adhered to the protocols. And so I think we deserve some sort of credit for that. It's unfair. It's unreasonable for the government to take all the credit when the citizens of Grenada, particularly the healthcare workers, they did an amazing job, and they are left out of all praises. I don't think it's fair at all. But we need some hope in our country, and I think we have to continue pushing. I will not give up. I know many people would like to shut me off, basically, because that's a voice. My voice is a voice that is contradicting what the government does and says, right? I stand up for things, and I will continue to call things out. And the whole lot of the NMP supporters, I know you will not be pleased, but guess what? Grenada is for all of us. You are enjoying all the perks right now because the government is in power, and many other people cannot. And that is unreasonable, and we are no longer going to accept that. We'll call things out as we see them.
All right. Thank you so much. Joel, any closing statement before we wrap up?
First of all, Junior, I just want to say, special thanks to you for really inviting us here and for providing us with your platform. To all your viewers, you tuned in, and to all the comments, all you took time to comment, whether it's positive or negative, we welcome your comment. And, sometimes I go back and read the comments because you see, Junior, I am open-minded. And I know not every time I come on your program or any program and speak that, everyone will accept my position. As I said, some people may attribute your position against the government sometimes to be anti-government. I am not anti-government. Years ago, when the NDC was in government in 2008, I took the same position. I spoke out on issues publicly, and the records are there for it. When the NMP came in government, even though I supported the party then, and they came in government and I was a CARICOM youth ambassador, I still spoke out despite I was appointed by the government and I was a CARICOM youth ambassador. So my position over the years have not changed. I've been the same person, and for people who have been following me from since 2008, you would know that I have always took firm positions on issues, and it has not changed, right? When the government does well, I commend it. And if the government does things that I don't think it's in the best interest of Grenada, I have a responsibility. I have a constitutional right and a civic responsibility to speak out and to protect our democracy and protect our country. And that's my position.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys, so much. This was a great conversation. Impromptu, brief great conversation, and we'll have a great talk again sometimes. Thanks for making yourself available when you get that call. Shida and Joel, thanks again.
Thank you.
All right. All right, guys. As always, right? I always open up the phone lines and encourage you guys to speak your mind, to call in and put your voice on the record. But you guys don't call, but instead you always gonna go make status and say how it was a biased conversation. No, I'm calling for everyone to have their voice on this matter. But you guys didn't call, right? Anyway, I respect everybody's point of view, whether you for or against, whether you like or dislike the speech given today. It's fine. I respect your opinion. I respect your point of view. Just like to hear a different point of view. And I respect Joel and I respect Ashida. I respect them because they have a very strong point of view and they get a lot of flack for just being the people that they are. They speak out strongly and firmly, and I respect them. And similar for the people who support the government. I respect you too. You have your reason. Politics is always local, right? You always have a reason why, and I respect your point of view, right? I thank you guys for watching. Thanks for sharing. If let me see another minute or two if anyone wants to call and give any closing remark, say anything. I'm going to keep the phone lines open again for another minute or so. 718-701-5720. That's 718-701-5720. Indy, thank you so much. I saw PD. Thank you so much, PD. I respect everyone's point of view. 718-701-5720, or you could call on the WhatsApp. Put your voice on the record. 718-701-5720.
Identifying vaccination as an entry requirement for all visitors. Some airlines are making vaccination mandatory for travelers. And as the cruise industry prepares to set sail again, some cruise lines are already outlining vaccination requirements for both passengers and crew. Therefore, as our entertainers prepare to resume international appearances, and as our cruise ship workers prepare to head back to work, they will all have to be vaccinated. And for those who engage in travel for leisure or for even medical purposes, you will face similar requirements. Therefore, you ought to start making preparations by getting vaccinated today. Here in Grenada, to help protect our frontline workers, all accommodation facilities providing quarantine for inbound travelers will be required to have all their staff vaccinated soon. A few short months ago, we saw how rapidly the case numbers rose when employees at one hotel contracted the disease. With deadlier variants of the coronavirus now in circulation around the world, we must take all the necessary measures to protect our people and at the same time allow them to continue their livelihoods. I therefore encourage everyone who meets the eligibility criteria to get vaccinated. Despite the heavy global demand for COVID-19 vaccines, government has obtained 23,000 doses of AstraZeneca, a good start as we seek to vaccinate at least 60% of the adult population. My friends, my sisters and brothers all. In closing, I urge you to protect yourselves, protect your loved ones, protect your neighbors, and protect your country. We are all in this together. Therefore, we must all work together to safeguard our people, our country, and our future. And as we approach the holiday weekend, I wish everyone a happy Easter. And as you partake in activities to celebrate this serious religious observance, remember to adhere to the recommended protocols. Wear your mask, wash your hands or sanitize frequently, and do not engage in large social gatherings. Stay safe, my brothers and sisters. I thank you.
And before I end, I wanted to say this. And I saw someone made mention of it as well. Vaccination or getting vaccine, I don't believe it should be a political issue, right? It's a matter of safety, and it's also a very personal issue, right? Everyone make that decision for themselves. Should be able to make that decision for themselves. And before you start listening to conspiracy theories and listening to people talking about the vaccine who have no knowledge of how vaccine was created or what goes into the vaccine, and they never even probably been into a lab, I would recommend you listen to your doctor that you trust, and the scientists, right? I don't think it should be a political issue. All over the world, this COVID-19 have been killing people. It's going on over a year now. Over how much million people, 500 and something thousand people dead in the US. That's everybody in Grenada, Carriacou, and Petit Martinique five times, right? And this is not a political issue. It's a matter of life and death. So before you listen to all the conspiracy theories and videos that's circulating, I want you guys to take some time and listen to your doctors and listen to the science, right? Listen to your doctors and listen to your science. Because I can't sit here and say, hey, you got to go take the vaccine. You have to come to that conclusion within yourself. But I tell you, this is the decision that I made, and what decision I made with my family. My mom, she is 60 something, 70 something years old, right? Still strong and everything like that. I had her take the vaccine because I know that it's safe. I took the vaccine, right? Just today, I had my final dose of the Pfizer vaccine. I'm fine, right? And again, don't listen to the conspiracy theorists. Yes, I agree. And based on my education and learning what's happening, how the vaccine is, they do have side effects. Yeah, they do have side effects. But the side effects doesn't even match up to you catching COVID. It really doesn't. You might get some chills as a side effect. You might get some after taking the second dose. I didn't get it, so not everybody get the same side effects. I didn't get any side effects whatsoever. You might get a little low-grade fever, but nothing add up to what COVID-19 brings. So guys, as I said, nobody could tell you if you should take the vaccine or not. Just take some time and read up, do some research, and listen to your doctor, the people that you trust, the people that that been prescribing things for you for the longest time, right? A lot of people say they don't want to take the vaccine because they don't know what they inside it. And I say, well, I don't know what they intrinsic. I don't know what they in Tylenol. But most people, when they get a headache, the first thing that they reach for is a Fensic and a Tylenol. The same people who sign off on Fensic, Tylenol, and all this other stuff are the same people, the CDC and all this Food and Drug Administration, that sign off on this vaccine, the same scientists who signed off on these things, right? So again, I can't force you to make that decision. I could just tell you the decision that I made and everyone in my family made to take this vaccine, and we are fine, right? That's all I'm going to say here right now, guys. And we're approaching possible third wave. And I'm telling you from my perspective, that's the last thing I'm saying on this. From my perspective, every single day, every day, just making it a year and 2 weeks, every day. I'm in the funeral homes, because you guys know I stream a lot of funerals. And I see so many dead people. I see so many families who are crying and they're over their loved ones and they just hoping and wishing that they had one more second with them. I see it every day. I see it every day. I think I see it too much. Over 400 funerals or so we did within that year. And boy, it don't nice. I had COVID too. It don't nice. You don't nice. You don't want to get there. Anyway, guys, that's all I'm going to say here right now. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for being a part of our programming today. The full entire primetime address is on the Ride Along page. You guys could go back and watch the whole thing. All right. All right. Dobson says the vaccine is not approved. Again, guys, do your own investigation on it, right? Not the conspiracy theorists. And who am I to try to convince you to do that, right? I know what I did, the decision that I made for myself. Tiny Antoine, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for being a part of our programming today. Catch you guys again tomorrow. Peace out. Good night.
Let's face it, this is not normal times, but life, it must go on. And with all these continued restrictions on get-togethers, you need a streaming company like Ridealong Media Group LLC, one that can stream to all your family members to the comfort of their own homes, both privately or publicly, you decide. One who understands your privacy, one who simply cares. So for that wedding, funeral, public or private event, choose the professional production company with the experience and quality guaranteed. Family can travel? Inquire about our seamless remote participant option. Thinking of streaming your virtual event? We handle it all. From multi-camera video production to streaming, post-production, editing, and more via Zoom, YouTube, Facebook, or any platform required. Call us and speak to our experienced professional team. 212-809-4324. That's 212-809-4324. Ridealong Media Group LLC. We're here when you need us.
Are you fed up of your mask or your foggy face shield? Introducing the Fashion Shield from callallpronow.com. Keep your hairdo intact, your makeup flawless, and be fully protected. Get the Fashion Shield now. Call 516-387-4246 or visit callallpronow.com.
Feeling hungry, grab a snack. Caribbean food delight. Jamaican patties, slide and flaky. Caribbean food delight. Taste the difference. Caribbean food delight. Grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight. Quick and easy, grab a patty, take a bite. Caribbean food delight.
Oh yeah. Come on, this is your opportunity to tap into the $7.3 trillion industry in this COVID time. Get interactive, hands-on in the Forex and crypto market. Educate yourself in this financial industry. All of this is possible right now with a multi-source income generator. This program will allow you to learn while you earn in this lucrative decentralized industry. Take advantage of this trading academy, personal development, create multi-source stream income, trading ideas in this global market, get discount travel with your own portal, bonus token backed by bitcoins, and so much more. For more information, contact Christine Alexis at 347-834-2852 or Marisha Dash at 646-529-6570. Don't miss out on this amazing opportunity of a lifetime. Call now. What you do makes a difference, and you get to decide what difference you make.
In 2020, I was nominated for the Carlino Award, which is the award for advocacy. It just ballooned from there. I decided to become an ambassador for my area, and my goal with that relationship was to build a relationship with my local politicians here and the ones that represent in Washington, to let them know what was happening with Alzheimer's, give them information, let them know that we need their support and so forth. It just opened a whole new world of people to network with and people who felt as passionate as I did about this cause, and I still do to this day.
All Pro Health Staffing, www.allprony.com.